Welcome back to the Demon Huddle, presented by Cross Financial Group as we head into week 5 of the Northwestern State season. As always, joined by the head coach, Blaine McCorkle. And Coach, let's just jump right in. Weber State last Saturday night rather. Just kind of a tough go of it, but you've said before and you'll say it again, you either lose or you learn. A lot of lessons from that game Saturday night.
A lot of lessons learned. We've played 4 games now, so we're slowly finding out who we are and where we've got to go and what we've got to work on. Played 2 FBS opponents and 2 quality FCS opponents. And Weber State is a top 25 program. So now we know what it feels like to play the highest level at our level. And they're a good football team, and I give them a lot of credit. They're big, they're physical, they're talented, and they know what they're doing, and they're a very established program. And now we know what that feels like, and hopefully we can take some of the lessons learned from what it takes to play at that level in FCS football and apply it this week, because we're going to play possibly an even better team this week. Southeast Missouri will be ranked number 12 in the country when we get there Saturday, and we've got our work cut out for us. Now we've got to do it on the road. So hopefully we take those lessons and don't waste them and move forward.
Some of the stuff you look at, it's 39-0 on the scoreboard. It was, it kind of got away maybe a little bit earlier than you would have liked to, but it was a bit of an odd game when you look.
Yeah.
If you look at it on paper, you would have thought there's no way that the numbers add up. And I think part of that, the second half, the defense really began to cement itself and play, kind of adjust to put those halftime lessons into action.
Yeah, it was an odd feeling game for sure. It never felt like what the score was. It felt like it was kind of feeling a little closer at times, and there were some things that were, a play away here or there from doing some things. But you mentioned the defense specifically. I was really proud of our defense. You look at 39 points and you look at the yards and things like that, and you think, well, that's not a great performance, but it was a much improved performance. 2 weeks ago, no secret, we had a rough go at South Alabama. They came back, they played extremely hard. They played a lot more sound, a lot more physical. They were doing the things they were coached to do. Twice, Weber was able to drive way down in low territory, and we were able to get away with just a field goal. So there are some small glimmers of hope of things to come with our defense. They showed a little bit of mental toughness, because when somebody's driving on you and you can get that stop, that speaks a little bit to your character and your work ethic and your desire to finish a drive well. So there were some things that were very encouraging with the defense. There's no moral victory in it, but as you look forward, as we build this program, there were some things to be proud of and build on for the rest of the season to go.
We talk about so much winning games in the trenches, offensive line, defensive line. Defensive line and the defense as a whole began to get more pressure on a very good quarterback in Richie Munoz. Did sack him 4 times. Blake Gocher had another good game with a couple of sacks, but Cam George was disruptive. I think we saw Chancellor Owens get back there a couple of times. So some of those young pups kind of growing up.
Yeah, they are, and they are young. There's not a lot of experience up there, just like our whole team is. But the defensive line did play really well. They played hard. Coach Connor will probably mention this here in a little bit, but we did tweak a few things up front to let those guys move a little bit, because Weber State did have a big physical offensive line, kind of like South Alabama did a week ago. So we kind of learned the lessons from there to put those guys in a better position to make plays, and it paid off for us, and those guys were able to get some pressure on the quarterback, able to stop the run. Coming to the game, Weber State was 11th in the nation in rushing, and before the last drive of the game, they were under 100 yards. I think they finished with 103, 104, something like that. So that's a big statement. 3 weeks before, they rushed for like 212 on the University of Washington. So there's some small victories in there that we can build on and hopefully grow. And, the more those guys play together, the better they get. So that was encouraging.
Been banged up in the secondary. We talked about that going into the Weber game last week. But one guy that's kind of come back for the last couple of games, Caesar McGee III, first career interception. He ends up getting hurt making a effort play down at South Alabama to prevent a long touchdown run. But that's a young man that switched positions. He's kind of learning as he goes, I guess. And again, he's not young on paper, but he's young on experience.
He is, and he's a guy that yesterday in the team meeting, I really pumped him up in front of the whole team, because I'm really, really proud of Caesar. He's been through a lot, personally, academically, from a football standpoint, from an injury standpoint. His story really is incredible, and not to get into all that, but he missed the first 2 games, was able to come back against South Alabama and play because he had some circumstances that kept him out. And he has handled adversity as good as anybody I can imagine. He's had a smile on his face. He comes to work. He's playing hurt right now. He's banged up. And I was worried about it a few times in the game. I kind of look out there and give him a thumbs up, and he'd give me one back like I'm good. And he just wants to play football, and he's doing it the right way. And I'm really proud of how I've watched him grow and change in the 10 months we've been here and really start to mold himself into the type of football player and man that we want in our program. So awful lot to be proud of with Caesar, and hopefully he can stay healthy. He's just going to get better as he goes because he is an incredible talent.
Neat moment that maybe people might have missed. Danny Sears gets his first career sack. It's always interesting. We've talked about the legacies on this roster. There's legacies here. There's legacies kind of through you, and we've talked about how you consider everyone that plays at LSU a teammate, even if you weren't there together. But Danny Sears is a guy whose father played here, his brother played here. Now he's starting to write his own legacy. That's a neat deal for anybody, but especially a second generation who's also had a sibling play on the team.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool deal, and that's a neat family. I've been down to, his dad's the high school coach at St. Paul's down in Covington, and you walk in his office and he's got his Northwestern State mug sitting right there on it full of his pens and pencils, and that is a proud Northwestern State family. There's no doubt about that, and Danny loves the team, he loves this school, and he plays hard. There's been no shortage of compliments so far this year on how hard our guys are playing. Doesn't mean the execution and the result is what we want, but they are playing hard, and that's one thing that a lot of people are noticing and I'm proud of. And Danny Sears may be playing harder than anybody. I mean, he is one tough nut, and kind of like I mentioned Caesar's growing into, Danny Sears is what we want our program to be. If I had a team full of Danny Sears, we'd win a lot of football games, just on his mindset, his toughness, his approach to the game. So pretty cool to see him continue his family legacy right here, and I know his dad and his brother are awful proud of him.
Yeah, I got to talk to them after the game Saturday. Good to run into them and see them come back. 39-0, could have been 7-0 right out of the gate. Miles Kent Denton, once again, another big play gets negated by the hold. But just, I think, again, we've talked about him a little bit last week and what he's done. Just a bolt of lightning at any point that you want to get the ball in his hands. I know he didn't have the statistical game he wanted receiving, but, again, a chance to make something happen. And you wonder sometimes on those kickoff returns if it can happen, and he showed that it can.
Oh, it can happen. He's dynamic, and he can bust the game wide open at any time. And that play was very exciting and very frustrating all at the same time, because you start off the game 7-0, and maybe we still don't win the game as it goes on. You never know, but the dynamic and the flow of the game definitely will change because the momentum changes. So you go from 7-0 to starting off backed up because of the penalty, and it was a good call. It was a penalty, and we've got to be better at those things because we're not good enough or mature enough as a team yet to overcome those things. So when we have a big play, we've got to take advantage of it. But to Miles' credit, hopefully he gets another opportunity, and people keep kicking to him, and he can do it again. Another play in the game that's a kind of a picture of where we are as far as not being able to overcome mistakes. We've got a little offensive drive going at one point. I think it's 3rd and 6 or something like that, and we throw a little sit route to Twan Hines, and he gets a first down, but we get a face mask penalty. Instead of 1st and 10, it's 3rd and 21. And again, we're just not good enough or mature enough yet to overcome those things, so we've got to continue to play good, clean, sound football and not do things to beat ourselves. To give ourselves a chance to be successful, and that's a big point of emphasis this week.
Teachable moment.
Very teachable, yeah. And those are things we've got to learn from, and just can't have them. Can't have them. And that's young players making mistakes, and sometimes those are effort penalties. The hold on the kickoff, and then the hands to the face on the first down, where both guys playing really hard, just a little bit out of control. And we've got to work on that.
Had a lot of teaching moments. You probably will throughout the year, and I think that's, you seem like the person that wants to be a teacher. You want to teach football, you want to teach life lessons. You're going to have another one to teach. You talked about playing a top 25 team this past week in Weber State. You're going to find another one on the road, a top 15 team in Southeast Missouri, and first time Northwestern State will go to Cape Girardeau, but you're a veteran of Cape Girardeau.
Yeah, I've been to SEMO probably 3 or 4 times. When I was at Tennessee Martin, we went there a couple times. When I was at Tennessee Tech, we went over there. I think last time I was there was when I was at Tennessee Tech. That was probably 2008. So it's been a few years. But I've been there and had some really epic battles with them. We always had really good games when we went to SEMO. When we went to Tennessee Tech, we had just a dogfight and won it late. And that was a really fun and memorable game there several years ago. But it's a good atmosphere. It's a good field. It's a good venue to play in. I think they've been getting pretty good crowds there from what I can see on film, and should be an exciting place for our kids to play. It's a long trip. It's the longest one we'll take all year. It's about 8 hours up there on the bus. So we've got to do a good job planning our route to make sure we get there in plenty of time to be rested and hydrated and ready to go Saturday afternoon. But yeah, familiar territory. Been there a few times, and always enjoy going there, and hopefully we can go there and have a similar outcome. And the teachable moment this time, we need to teach them how to celebrate a win. That's what we need to learn. That needs to be the next big lesson that we learn.
Well, you'll have a challenge, no doubt about it, because the last few years they've really elevated that program, it seems like, in terms of a national relevance,
Yeah.
in terms of being in the top 25, and again, stability at the top.
Yeah, well, Coach Patuzowicz, they call him Coach Took. He's been there, I think he's going his 10th, 11th year or something like that, and he's really established a good program. I think historically we've only played him one time, so this will be our second meeting. The first time we played him was here 2 years ago, 2022, and I think the score was 51-16. So they came down here and put it on us pretty good, and so we know we've got our work cut out for us. You know, they are number 12 in the nation right now. So it'll be exciting. It'll be a challenge for us, and we'll have to show up ready to play. But they do have an established program. It's a program that over the years, as I've kind of followed them and coached against them several times, really my entire career. I think the first time I ever coached against them was my second year coaching. So I've been kind of in and out of there a long time. They've been an up and down program for a long time, but as you mentioned, the last few years they've been really relevant and sustained it because they've had longevity. And longevity, it just matters. It just counts. And you know, you see so many times, you know, coaches come and go and things like that. People don't do it. You know, another great example of that's the University of Kentucky. You know, Mark Stoops has been there longer than anybody in the SEC now that Coach Saban's retired, and he's got an outstanding program at a place that's never won big time, and he's done it for a few years in a row now because he's been able to establish and sustain his program, and that's just kind of proof that it does take time to do it. There's a lot of quick fixes, but they're just that. They're quick fixes, they're Band-Aids, and they don't sustain. So it takes time, it takes a lot of work, and Southeast Missouri is a great example of that.
But they'll look a little different. Last time they were here, Geno Hess ran for a lot of yards.
Yeah.
Geno is finally gone.
Yep.
I think he's mayor. He was running for mayor of Cape Girardeau. He was there long enough. But they've got a pretty good quarterback in Paxton DeLaurent, who I think we saw in that game that may have been one of his first appearances a couple of years ago. He has become a upper echelon FCS quarterback.
He is an outstanding football player, and I can't imagine many quarterbacks better than him right now at our level. He can throw it all over the field. He's well protected. His offensive line does an outstanding job. He's got plenty of big guys to go to. He's got a freshman, true freshman running back in there next to him who can go too. You know, they don't run the ball a whole lot. I think 2 weeks ago against Tennessee Martin, I think they called maybe 4 runs in the game, you know, and threw it 60-something. So that's who they are, and that's what they do, and we know what to expect. But he is a dynamic quarterback. He's big and tall. He can make all the throws, and he gets it out quick. So we'll have our work cut out for us with him for sure.
We talked about lessons learned. You've had a couple of long bus rides. What do you take from those going into this long trip to Cape Girardeau?
Well, this will be our 3rd time traveling as a team. What's funny, we kind of laugh about that as a staff because where we came from at Belhaven, this would have been our shortest trip. You know, we were taking buses from Jackson, Mississippi to Virginia and to, you know, far west Texas and stuff like that. But for our players, it is a long bus ride. There is a way that you prepare for that. You know, there is a way that you manage your sleep because it's easy to say, well, I'm going to stay up and sleep on the bus, but that throws your sleep cycles off. There is a way that you have to hydrate and eat and prepare when you take those long trips. So you know, our training staff, Cal, and our strength staff, Coach Smelser, they do a good job with making sure the guys have what they need and have their bodies ready to go. But it's not as simple as just get on the bus and go. There's a lot of planning and organization that goes into it so that when you do get off that bus, you know, after 8 hours, you get a good night's sleep, you're well fed, and your body's in the best position to perform. So there's a lot that goes into it.
Coach, as always, we appreciate your time, and we'll be back on the Demon Huddle presented by Cross Financial Group with Northwestern State Defensive Coordinator Matt Connor.
Super One Foods is proud to be named the official grocery store of the Northwestern State University Demons. No matter where you gather to watch the game, we've got everything you need at Super One Foods, all at super low prices. Plus, you can order online and enjoy same-day pickup with our convenient curbside service. Talk about a game changer. Score big when you shop at Super One Foods, your official NSU Demons grocery store.
Welcome back to the Demon Huddle presented by Cross Financial Group here on YouTube. Joined now by Northwestern State Defensive Coordinator Matt Connor. And Coach, talked with Coach McCorkle about this earlier. Lost to Weber State on Saturday night. Maybe not as indicative as the score was the way your defense played. I know there was a lot of yards in there and points you don't want to give up, but overall, thought it was a solid performance from your guys.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. There's a lot of yards there, a lot of points. 37 points will never be okay. The amount of yardage will never be okay. But where we are right now, you got to look at that film and find that there are some positives. You know, our guys played extremely hard. And we talked as a defensive staff of how well we thought our guys actually executed the game plan we put in place that week. Now we can talk about, you know, there are some chunk plays, some explosive plays that we have to clean up. But as far as the in-house game plan and what we asked our kids to do, to slow down that rushing attack for Weber State. I thought they went out there, they bought into it, and they did a really, really good job with that aspect.
Number 11 in the country coming in rushing, you held them to basically 3 yards a carry.
Yeah.
And I mean, until that was, a lot of that was on that last drive, kind of in what you would call garbage time or chunk time, whatever you would call it. But to answer that challenge, and again, it was pretty much that front six. I thought the defensive line from Cam George to Johnny Mitchell to Trey Bozier coming in, saw him make some plays. Chancellor Owens, Kamarion Ivory, those guys all together look like they may have put together one of their more complete outings of the year.
They did. We really challenged them all week because, I mean, it wasn't a secret what Weber State was going to come in and try to do. And so the challenge really kind of fell on their shoulders, as well as Blake Gotcher and Danny Sears, and they really stepped up to that, and they did a good job, and they really bought into that. And we've been talking a lot on our defensive side of the ball about, learning to strain, and that winning is really hard, and to win you have to learn to strain for 60 minutes. And I can tell you, those front guys, the guys that played on the line of scrimmage Saturday night, they showed that they could strain. They left it all out there, and they were wore down, but they didn't quit, and they kept playing hard, and they really took that message and took it to the field and put it on display.
Did seem to have the best game in terms of pressuring the passer, in terms of getting home, 4 sacks. Blake Gotcher had 2 of those. He's got 4 on the year through 4 games. Yeah. That's actually leading the Southland Conference in that stat. But another big game from him, but I thought Cam George maybe his most effective outing as a Demon so far.
Yeah, well, we just talked a lot about our ability to, our guys' willingness to stop the run. Good play on first down leads to good play on third down. You hear coaches talk about all the time, got to be good on third down, you got to be good on third down. Well, the best way to be good on third down is to be really good on first and second. Now you're getting them in 3rd and 8s and 3rd and 9s, and we knew that, honestly, we knew if we could get Weber State in a 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10 scenario, the advantage kind of flipped to us. That's not their style of play, to drop that quarterback back, and I think that led to some of those sacks and some of those pressures. And so we got to continue our first and second down defense has got to continue to stay what it was, and then just eliminate some of those chunk plays you saw as the game went on.
Statistically, I know Coach McCorkle and I kind of had this discussion post-game on Saturday. He's not really worried about the stats, but
yeah.
3 for 14 on third down, as you mentioned. I mean, regardless of who that's against, that's effective defense.
Yeah, it really was. I was proud of our third down play again. I just said it, but it really goes back to our first and second down play. If you can be good on first and second down, you really shrink the playbook for the offense in third down. Another aspect I thought I was really proud of is how well our guys played in plus territory. Every good defense I've ever been a part of, their goal line play was exceptional, and it's really a mindset to be able to get down there, put your hand in the ground when your cleats are in the end zone, and just refuse to let them in. And twice Weber State was inside the 5-yard line, and we were able to hold them to a field goal. And that is a glimmer of growth. I challenge our guys every week, just be a little bit better this week than you were last week, and just keep doing that. Just keep doing that and keep doing that. And that's an area I really saw us grow this week, was the ability when the offense kind of pushed the ball down and the field got tight. Could we make our mind up that we were going to get this stop? Because at the end of the day, they got to go. If they go 99.9 and don't go that other 1/10 of a yard, it doesn't matter. They don't get anything out of it. And so we just got to keep defending the whole time. And I thought they did a really good job of that.
One thing that comes to mind was the play where the Weber State receiver was called for taunting, so they took the touchdown off the board, held him to a field goal after that. Again, growth. Second chances don't come along a lot of times in the red zone. Stood up and again held him to a field goal. Again, some of that growth, that constant, continual improvement that the staff preaches.
Absolutely. I don't know that. Second chances definitely don't come around very often, and we were able to take advantage of that. We gave them one and ended up getting that second chance. And again, right back to what we said. They were down there tight, and you just kind of saw some of our guys finally make a decision that we're going to strain until they've scored, and if they haven't scored, they haven't scored. So just keep playing. Anything could happen. It's amazing if you just keep playing and you just keep playing hard and trying to execute your job at the highest level you can. Anything could happen.
Talked with Coach about it, but Caesar McGee gets his first career interception, and that's a guy that he touched on it, his story. If you don't know his story, it's a remarkable one that he's here at Northwestern State still playing football. But comes in, plays his first game at South Alabama, effort play, and he gets hurt again.
Yeah.
But he's out there banged up. He gets his first career interception. That's kind of what you're talking about, whether it's strain, stick-to-itiveness, whatever you want to call it, that's what he's shown.
Absolutely. I'm so, I'm proud of a lot of guys in our program, but there's probably not one that sticks out more to me than Caesar. He just comes to work every day, has a smile on his face. Even though there's a lot of circumstances out there that probably, if he didn't show up with a smile, no one would blame him. He still does it. He's fighting through some injuries right now. Doesn't let that get him down. Probably the biggest moment for me last week, I shared this with some of the staff members, was we actually had to pull him out of practice just because he's a little banged up. And just the encouragement he was showing on the sideline to everybody else that was out there on the field. He was the first person out to the numbers, patting guys on the butt, giving them high fives as they were coming off the field. And that was kind of an awe moment to me that, we're heading in the right direction, and he's kind of leading that charge for us right now on defense. So
he had to. A lot of nicks and bumps and bruises in that secondary, but he's fighting through one to keep playing, and that's going to be part of the challenge this week. You go to a SEMO team that I think slinging it around may be an understatement for what they like to do. It's going to be almost a paradigm shift from a top rushing team to a top passing team, and just the turnaround for that. I mean, I know you get out in front of it as much as you can, but the challenges in shifting like that are what for a defensive coordinator?
You got to stay on your toes. You got to be willing to stay flexible. We're going to do what we do. That's we have our convictions about the style of defense that we play, and that's never going to change. Although it's also our job as a defensive staff to put our players in positions where they can be successful, and we got to take a real deep look at their personnel and our personnel, and what we can do to make sure our players are put in situations where they can go out and be successful. And we'll do that this week, but you're right, they like to throw the ball around. The script is absolutely flipped from last week. I think their quarterback's number 2 in the country right now in passing touchdowns. Their big receiver, number 6, he's number 1 in the country in receiving touchdowns. So we've got a big challenge, but just like I said last week, I mean, we'll put a game plan together, and we'll get our kids ready to go, and when that time comes, they'll be ready.
You'll have to do it on the road. So does it feel, I mean, when you look at it, is there similarities to anybody you faced with this offense? It sounds like maybe some of what you saw from South Alabama.
I don't think anybody that we faced thus far wants to lean this much on the pass. And have the ability to spread it around like they do. I think that's what makes them very, very dangerous is, they've got a 6'7" receiver on this side, well, they got a 6'5" receiver on this side. So it's, if you take care of this one, you still got to worry about this one. They've got a really good slot inside who can really go and get behind you. And then the guy that gets lost in all of it is this freshman running back they have. He's a really, really good player, runs the ball really hard. He's physical. I think he's 6'1", 215. So he's a big physical back, and their offensive line's big. And so they've got multiple ways to attack you. At the end of the day, they want to put the ball in the air, let their quarterback, who is arguably one of the better quarterbacks in our level of football, they want to let him run the show and give him some freedom. He does a good job getting the ball out of his hands. Doesn't take a lot of hits just because of his ability to see the defense and get the ball in his hands. But, there's probably some carryover from Tulsa, South Alabama, but at the end of the day, when it comes to their passing game, they kind of stand alone as far as the teams we've played.
Do we need to tell Rick Cabrera to send some guys out for the practice squad? He's got a 7-footer out there. You want to have a Ledoux go run a couple of routes on your guys?
Yeah, we might take them for the practice squad, but this is no knock to Coach Cabrera and his guys. But I'll take my guys any day of the week when it's for real. So
I just thinking 6'7", looking at the height guys, and you can just go throw it up to those guys. Well, Coach, as always, we appreciate your time, and we'll come back here on the Demon Huddle presented by Cross Financial with Northwestern State Offensive Coordinator Norman Joseph when we come back.
Whether it's in the trailer, behind the camera, or on the air, NSU has a place for you. Learn the ins and outs of an ESPN broadcast while getting a full-fledged education in sports media or broadcast journalism. Northwestern State University. New media, journalism, and communication arts. Learn more at nsula.edu/new media.
Welcome back to the Demon Huddle presented by Cross Financial Group here on YouTube. Joined now by Northwestern State Offensive Coordinator Norman Joseph and Coach. We'll jump right into Weber State here, and tough one. There's no doubt about it. Anytime you end up on the wrong end of a shutout, I know as an offensive coach, it's got to be tough. I don't know what the word, if there's a better word for that.
It was very frustrating. We had some things that were working for us early. We complete a pass. We run a wide receiver around the end and get a first down, the first offensive play. And so we got a first down on a first down, and you would hope to be able to capitalize on that. Then we have a couple more plays, and it was off and on throughout the game, and it just seemed like we could never get in sync to make a play, and it was very frustrating. It was a struggle at times, but it wasn't any just one group of players or one player. It was a different player on each play, and so now you're kind of scratching your head. What can we call? What can we do? What kind of formations can we present to Weber? And it just it was a rough day.
Talked about those. It's 11 guys, and 11 guys have got to execute every play.
Well, and I've said this for years. When I was a head coach and even as a position coach, now as coordinators, as a coordinator, I've always said that from a defensive standpoint, there's 10 guys that can do something wrong. There's 10 guys that are wrong. A receiver can be running right down the middle of the field, but here's that one linebacker that blitzes, or a defensive lineman that beats his block and gets to the quarterback, and it's a disaster for the offense. Where offensively, every player, all 11, no one can do anything wrong. Everybody's got to do the right play and run the play and execute the call to the fullest. And so when that happens, then the offense is having a great day. Defensively, you can get away with something somewhere along the way.
Late in the game, you did get Colby Burrell back. I mean, you've kind of cycled in some running backs. He did pop a very nice long run, his longest of his career. I think we maybe saw some of the rust kind of there at the end of it. But, I mean, just having another back there and a guy that's fought through and a veteran guy that's got some experience has got to help, even just a jumping off point for next week.
Yeah, we've missed Colby. Yeah, he hurt his ankle early in the preseason, and so we've been waiting for him to get back. He was having a great preseason before then, and now to have him back, that just makes that room that much deeper and better. We've got some guys that are very capable of doing a lot of things, and so now we get to play them all. All of them have a special strength, all of them have a special ability, and now we can utilize their skills and talents to the fullest.
Now, I know he was hurt, but one thing that doesn't change about Colby is his personality. He's a smaller guy, height-wise, say that about the same height, but he's a ball of personality.
Yeah, he is. Great personality, tremendous attitude. Even the day that he got hurt, I was impressed with the way he handled that. And said, Coach, I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna be back. And there was never a doubt. There may have been some doubts in others' mind because of what had happened to him in the past with an injury, but he never doubted. And so because of his hard work and his perseverance, he's back with us, and we're looking forward to some great days.
What does that do for, say, a freshman like Ray McNeely Harris, to see that guy in those meetings, in that running back room together with him? What does that do in terms of rubbing off or mentorship for a young player like Ray?
I think it's very positive, and I hope Ray takes it in a positive way. It does help the depth in our room, and sometimes now the backs may not get the reps that they think that they would have gotten under normal situations. But what it does is it helps a guy like Ray to be around someone like Colby, who's got experience and can share some knowledge and expertise that maybe we miss as a coach, but as a player, he's right there doing it every day, and I believe Ray and the younger backs will see that. Yeah,
so I say Ray, there's also some younger guys in there who may not have dressed out yet or will be redshirting simply because of the numbers, but and that's a guy that's got a lot of experience. Same for Kenneth Lacey, same for Zay Davis, even though Zay's at a different level this year than he was at the past two. Again, some good guys for those guys to learn from.
Oh, great room, great players, outstanding personalities, and they're team guys, and that's what I like about them.
Same thing for that wide receiver group. I mean, with Twan Hines and Miles Kent Denton, I mean, different kind of personality. No one's Kobe Burrell personality-wise, but those guys are, again, as we talk about how young and how many new faces this team has, there are still some veteran guys who are there to lend a hand, lend a mentorship type angle to some of the younger players.
And you're exactly right about that. Matter of fact, I was sitting in the wide receiver, and we had the quarterbacks in a meeting yesterday, going through the game tape, and Miles did that with another receiver. He was saying, "Hey, look, watch how I did this on this particular play," and the guy had busted it earlier. The other player had busted that route, but Miles said, "Hey, here it is right here. This is the way you do it." And right then, everybody in the room knew this is the way you do it. And so those guys with experience, who have worked hard, who have been through the ranks, who have paid their dues, now they're reaping the benefits of it.
Let's go ahead and move on to SEMO this weekend. Have you? Obviously, you didn't play them in 88 and 89 when you were here the first time, because only since 2022 have they been played from Northwestern's standpoint. Have you been to Cape Girardeau? Are you familiar with going up there?
I have passed through. Went through it several years ago, early in our marriage, and going to a family reunion, stopped in and visited the campus, wanted to see their stadium and so forth. It's kind of a thing I do. I like to go to college campuses and see stadiums, and they have a real nice setup there. Looking forward to the trip, looking forward to the ball game.
We know what they can do offensively. I think that's the part of the team that grabs some headlines, but they've got a very opportunistic defense as well. And one thing so far that your offense has done, for the most part, pretty well is protect the football.
And we have. We had one game where it got away from us against South Alabama, but we take great pride in that. Quarterbacks, I've worked. Our emphasis with them has been to take the gifts. If the routes are covered downfield, just take the gifts, dump it off to the backs, and we've done a pretty good job with that. And whether it's short routes or deep routes, whatever the defense gives us, take advantage of it. And then our running backs have been solid as far as running the football. And I tell you, Coach Maurice Stewart does a great job with those guys and emphasizing ball protection and ball security. And so from an offensive standpoint, I've been real proud of that aspect.
What do you see from SEMO, from a defense, from just obviously a 10,000-foot view? I don't want to get into the weeds about it.
Yeah, they are very good. They're ranked as high as they are, not just because of their offense and their special teams, but their defense is playing well and not giving up many points. And so they hustle to the ball, they run, they're big and strong, and very physical team. They're not fancy with what they do, but they are solid. And I think that because of that, because of being so solid, they don't have to do a whole lot. And so it creates some issues for us because we know they're well coached.
Coach McCorkle talked about this. It feels like it's going to be a long bus trip. Maybe not for the Belhaven guys because they were on those 13, 14-hour bus rides. Where does this fit for where you've been the last few years? I guess Stetson was the Pioneer League. They're Pioneer League, correct?
Yes,
so you were all over the country.
Yeah, we were a lot. There was a lot of travel, but we flew, and so that's but there's issues with that too through all of it, and we had some flight issues a year ago with that. But traveling by bus, I don't mind it. It's safe, it's secure. We can make stops along the way, and our guys seem to enjoy it as well.
For you, what do you do? Are you constantly taking notes? You looking over your stuff on the way up there, and you coming back? Are you turning your attention to the next opponent?
Well,
or are you sleeping on the bus?
No. It is a great time to rest and to just kind of focus, lock in. Kind of go through game calls and game scenarios and so forth. I do not have my phone on; it's off. There's no one can get to me, and so. But it's a good time just to lock into the game and relax and do a little bit of focusing from that standpoint.
Well, for part of this trip, they may not be able to reach you anyway, or some of the places you're going to have to go to get to Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
That's what I hear.
Coach, as always, thanks for your time, and thank you all for watching the Demon Huddle here presented by Cross Financial Group on YouTube. We'll see you next week.